How do you move towards happiness no matter what's going on around you? I talked about that happiness, I used to think, was the absence of fear, the absence of sadness, the absence of stress, that when I'm carefree, I feel happy. And then I got to a place in adulthood where I'm almost never carefree. There's almost always something that is a stressor, or something to be worried about, or something to be taken care of, or something that's gone wrong, or something that is not what I hoped it would be, or something that's disappointing. And that if I waited for the absence of those quote unquote negative emotions, if I waited for the absence of those to be happy, I would not be happy and I'd just be miserable. And so I do consider myself a happy person. I don't consider myself a naively optimistic person. I consider myself a strategically optimistic person. I've been thinking a lot lately about, I have a new favorite movie. Some of you may have seen it. It's called Everything Everywhere All at Once. And there's a moment in this film where the husband, who the wife has seen as naively optimistic and stupidly positive and bland and boring, kind of reveals his approach to life and just how much pain and sadness and stress he carries and fear he carries. When I choose to see the good in things, I'm not being naive. He says it's strategic and necessary. This is how I've survived everything. And he talks about being kind, especially when we don't know what's going on, how crucial it is that we be kind to one another. And he says, I know that you see yourself as a fighter. He says, well, so do I. He says, this is how I fight. I used to think happiness was the experience of sweetness, and now I realize it's the bittersweetness. That none of us escapes sorrow or hardship or grief or stress in our lives. We all wrestle with insecurity. We all wrestle with despair. We all wrestle with anger different times. That being optimistic, a cynic would see an optimist and say, what an idiot. Don't they know what's going on in the world? Don't they know what life is like? Or if you're happy, you must have it easy. You must live a life of ease and privilege, otherwise you would be miserable like me. And what I love about that scene in that film is happiness is a choice. I realized recently I've been going through some things and I've been pretty miserable. And I felt like I was losing myself because I've always seen myself as a happy person. And I had the realization that happiness really was a choice. I used to should on myself a lot. You should do this, you should do that. You should listen to audiobooks, nonfiction audiobooks, and improve yourself as a person, And lately I've been like, no, I'm going to listen to my music in the car because to me that's meditation. To me that's clearing away all the crap and finding something that brings me some joy. I didn't exercise as much lately. I've been getting a lot more exercise, less because I care about how I look in a swimsuit, more because it helps me to feel happy. I play with my kids more because playing with my kids helps them to feel happy and it helps me to feel happy. How do you find happiness? How do you create it? You create it through your behaviors, you create it through your choices. And we need to not confuse vice with happiness. We engage in vice, which is a pleasurable activity that harms us, psychologically, emotionally, or physically. We engage in vice because we're anxious, we're depressed, we're overwhelmed, we're afraid. We engage in vice to escape all of that, but it inevitably makes it worse. So for me, happiness is healthy replacements. Right? What helps me to de-stress? What helps me to not feel afraid? What helps me to manage my sadness? But then doesn't end up making me feel worse. And so for me, it also looks like I haven't cut off junk food, but I have a new rule, which is that if I'm going to eat something bad for me, it better be amazing. Where there's nothing worse than eating something bad for you and then it wasn't even that good. You just hate yourself. You're like, that was a waste. Whereas if you get something that is just decadent and, really hits the spot, you're like, that was worth it. I have zero regrets about that. Like Peeps, you ever eat Peeps? Peeps are disgusting. Like, why would we do this to ourselves? And you start and you cannot stop. Happiness is also about your attitude and how you perceive things. Alicia likes to quote a book that she likes called The Obstacle is the Way. That every hardship can be perceived as an obstacle or as the way towards growth. And I've gotten into the habit lately of practicing gratitude, not just for the good things, but for the things that suck. Because the things that suck help me to be more compassionate. The things that suck usually suck because they are bumping up against a weakness of mine. And in order for the experience to suck less, I have to turn that weakness into a strength. And that is hard. And that is uncomfortable. And I'm grateful for those things because they make me who I am. Practicing gratitude, practicing a positive perspective, practicing the power of thinking positively and seeing everything, even loss, a breakup or a death or getting fired or getting rejected or failing at something, as an opportunity to learn and grow and become a better version of you, is so much better than, I don't deserve this, there is no meaning to this, there's no purpose to this. You just get into the void of hopelessness. Happiness is a choice. It comes down to attitude. It comes down to how you choose to perceive things. It comes down to how you respond to things. And it comes down to recognizing that to experience happiness, you have to experience sorrow. And oftentimes you experience them at the same time. That I choose to be happy even when I'm unhappy. Sounds paradoxical, but this is the way. So I hope that you found this helpful and that you'll continue to join us as we learn about our emotions, how to move towards the positive ones and through the negative ones. Thank you very much.